from ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 in Southern California. This is BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgensen.
Welcome out to BizNinja Radio. This is your host, Tyler Jorgensen, and I have Alison Prince with me. If you haven't heard of her, you've probably given her your money sometime by shopping on one of her websites. So welcome out to the show, Alison.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So what I love about our wonderful entrepreneurial world is that you and I have run into each other in Dallas, and we run into each other in Boise. Neither of us are from either of those places, and we ended up having mutual friends that I met in Africa. And that's how our wonderful world always shrinks and comes together. What is one thing that, people that are not entrepreneurs in your life, how would they best describe you and what you do?
A serial entrepreneur. One that constantly loves creating new businesses.
And, have you always been an entrepreneur?
No, I actually got my degree in as a junior high teacher, math and science junior high teacher. And when I went and got my first paycheck, they also said I qualified for food stamps. And that wasn't going to cut it.
So that's interesting because I think the scientist has an advantage in entrepreneurship if they can get a little bit creative because, they understand numbers and metrics better than some of us that maybe were more creative, less numbers based. So what was, I know we're going to go into things like how your daughters have sold $100,000 worth of products and some of the things that you've done. But what was, when you had that moment of, hey, here's your first check, it's so little money that you're also qualifying for food stamps. What was the first thing that you did? What was your first entrepreneurial step?
So right after that, so my husband was going to school full time and we had a new baby. And I had been told my whole life that if I got my college degree, then I would have financial security. And that was the biggest lie ever, right?
Right.
I know teachers didn't make a lot of money, but I was just excited to buy towels or go to dinner with my husband and not have to split a meal. Right. We made $9,000 as students, and my first real job paid me $28,000. So I'm like, it's going to increase 3 times. I'm going to be this is financial success, financial freedom at age 21. And then after all the taxes and the insurance and everything, I was like, we can't live off this. We can't even afford toilet paper.
Right.
So I actually started a tutoring job, and I started tutoring a couple students a night. And that was just eating more and more of my time. And I said, I've got to figure out how to not eat my time. So I hired 3 other teachers. They actually did the tutoring and I just ran the books. Oh, nice. And I made money. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is magical. Why didn't anybody teach me this? And so that was my first business. It grew and then we moved. So I had to dissolve it because it just didn't work. And then I did real estate during the boom. And that was amazing. And then we moved. And then I started a third business, and it was a crafting business. And I had 4 babies, and I just couldn't do it. So then I'm like, okay, so much chaos is going on. What's going to be pretty steady? And then that's when I started How Does She with 2 of my friends. And that's a blog. So if we move, or if we have more babies, it doesn't matter. We can work during nap time.
Right.
We can move and keep the business going. So that was my first entry into the online world.
There were a lot of people that were blogging during that time, but not everyone was turning that into a business. So how did you shift from just being a blogger to actually turning it to a business? What was kind of the difference between what you were doing and what other people were doing?
We went into it knowing that we wanted to make money. Mm-hmm. It wasn't we had a plan. How are we going to figure out how to make money? If we had extra time, we wanted to spend it with our family.
Right.
And so we were saying, okay, we're willing to dedicate time, effort, and energy into this to build a business. Now, did we want to create a community? Absolutely. And at first, we didn't know how to make money. So our first thought into it was, okay, let's create this amazing community. And once we have that, then we'll figure out how to monetize it. And so we went out there and we tried to figure out who our audience was and what they related to. And then we started like the sponsorships and the ads and affiliate, because at first we didn't know who we were or who our audience was.
Right.
So we just started putting out stuff, collecting eyeballs, and then figuring out what to do after that.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't get over that first hurdle of being able to sell that first sponsorship. And then there's people that obviously do. Like I, early, maybe 2010, like I was able to advertise on the site Our Best Bites for pretty cheap.
I love those guys.
And they're great. And I think they were actually in Boise too, but I didn't see them. Anyways, so, and I was able to advertise pretty cheap. And then they got signed by like a big, right when their book was coming out, they, the world changed for them.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of entrepreneurs that kind of go that direction have a hard time getting that first like windfall or first set of big jump in eyeballs where it's gone from a hobby. Even if they started it with the desire to make money, like, was it a snowball effect that kind of built? Was it something like that?
No, we worked hard.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you create your own luck through
how
hard you work. So like the first sponsorship we got like a free t-shirt and we were like, we got a free t-shirt.
Yeah.
And we're super excited about it. And we're like, hey, how can we do that again?
Yeah.
How can we do that again? And it wasn't so much the amount, it was us learning how to pitch ourselves better. It was us learning how to talk to advertisers. And even if it was a $5 button on the side of our blog, which buttons don't really exist anymore, but a $5 button, we were perfecting who we were. And if they said no, we're like, okay, what did we do wrong? What can we do better? We knew we were going to get no's and we were okay with that. And we just kept trying and trying and trying. And we were told no so many times, but we didn't let that stop us.
Right.
We knew we had something. We knew we wanted to make this work. We'd heard these magical stories of people making tons of money online.
Right.
And so we wanted to too. And honestly, like people come up to me and they're like, but Alison, you have so many followers. And I say, yeah, I do. But I started at 0. If I would have jumped into it right now with so many followers, I would have looked like a complete idiot because I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know how to talk about my brand or how to talk to my people. So I'm glad I started with 0. And then I had 1 follower. And then I got some feedback. And then 2 followers, got some feedback. And then I could figure out what I wanted more.
And discover your voice a little bit, right? And kind of figure out also not only what you should be talking about, but how to even communicate in this world, right?
Yeah.
I think we could probably spend a mass amount of time really breaking that down to the granular, but you also, you guys, you still run How Does She, which I love that you still are doing it. That's so cool. And then, how did you segue? You've done what was the next thing that you did after that?
So then How Does She started with my 2 business partners, Shelly and Missy, and we're still business partners and they're fabulous. But when I would write a blog post, I would be sending them to like other stores, other shops. And at one point I'm like, why don't I start sending them to my store? Right? Like we get 10% affiliate or whatever. Like, I want to make more money than that. I want to start sending them to my store. So I started a site called Pick Your Plum. And in the beginning, I didn't have like hardly any money. And it was 1 product a day because I couldn't buy a whole bunch of inventory, right? Like I didn't have a lot of money. So I would look out there and I would sell a product. And then after I sold the product, buy the product, like to fill all my orders.
Right.
2 days later, it would come in and then I'd ship it out. And then I'd get a little cash flow started. And then the next day, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to sell tomorrow? And then the next day, oh my gosh, what am I going to sell tomorrow?
You were literally like planning a day to 2 days ahead, like that close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the beginning, because I didn't have cash flow.
Right.
Like, if you had cash flow, it would have made it a lot easier.
What kind of eyeball, like what kind of view count, what kind of sales were happening in those first few days, weeks, months of Pick Your Plum?
That was 6 years ago. I don't remember what I had for dinner last week.
Sure. That's fair.
But we grew it. Like I grew it very, very quickly. Very quickly. Within a year and a half, it was $1 million business. I was pretty excited about that. I mean, going from teaching like food stamps, right, to having no clue about any business strategy at all, just seeing a need and filling it, and then working hard, staying focused, not getting distracted, and making things happen. Like I literally, I would sell the product and it would sell out in a couple hours, and then the site would sit dead for 22 hours. And in that 22 hours, I had to find a new product, get it listed, and get the photography done, the description done, the pricing done for the next morning. And then I would do it again and do it again. And it probably took me about 3 months before I could get like 2 or 3 days ahead.
Holy cow. So you were just chasing those first few months.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then were you emailing out or were people all just kind of knowing, hey, we're going to check the site every day?
Oh yeah, for sure. Email. We started gathering our email really quickly. We started working with more influencers, so other bloggers, to start throwing traffic. We set up an affiliate program, and then it just started taking off. Just started like crazy taking off. The people that we worked with here in America, they couldn't fill our orders. Wow. So I called a friend and I said, hey, do you want to go to China with me? She said, no. Absolutely not. I don't know Chinese. You don't know Chinese. Alison, that's like on the other side of the world. I'm like, I know, you want to go? She's like, no. So after the third time, she finally said yes. Flew to China. I don't know any Chinese. I still to this day don't know any Chinese. And then we went over there and started finding manufacturers. We'd never imported before. Never worked out of the country.
Right.
Did it. We're totally out of our comfort zone.
Right.
My husband's like, you want to go where? I'm like, I want to go to China. He's like, why? I'm like, to find manufacturers because we can't fulfill our products here. They don't have enough inventory. And so we went to China and we just started little tiny bits. We started like with $1,000 order and then a $2,000. And then by the end we were ordering, I don't know, 1 year, like $1 million of product.
Wow.
Because like you start small. Everybody starts small and you just do a little bit and test it. Because if you start big, it's too risky.
Sure.
You don't know your audience. You don't know your product. You've got to test it to make sure it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you could always throttle the inventory. Like were you selling out of product? So you knew how much they could buy, right? So you charge a risk that way.
Yeah. And honestly, that helped the excitement. Like when we'd sell out in 2 hours, people were like, no, I wanted that product. Yeah. So we'd list it 6 weeks later. And then it was just so exciting. So it was just one product a day.
And we've learned like urgency and scarcity, but at the time it was more just, that's all we had, right? That's all.
Survival.
Yeah. Turns out there's like science there. Okay. So, and we know that company, I mean, it's still around. It's I think one of my sisters, it was like her favorite site. But you're a serial entrepreneur. So even though you're saying stay focused, even though you're saying, grind every day and just kind of really make it work, you've done more since then. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the 0-100K and like what your daughters have been able to do and what you've been helping people do?
Okay, so what I do is I focus really hard on a business for about 3 years.
Okay.
And then I bring in people in that process to help me to keep it going because I am an entrepreneur and I don't have, after 3 years, it's just hard for me to, stay focused, right?
No, I get it. 3 years is long. I'm impressed you can stick. Yeah.
So that's what I do. Like I go super, super tunnel vision in these 3 years, building up the best community, building up the best people that I possibly can. And then after the 3 years, then I start looking at something else. So Pick Your Plum was going great. We brought in a crew that ran it for a little while. It actually didn't work out. Their vision was here. My vision was over here. Sure. But in the meantime, I built 3 e-commerce businesses as well as my daughters. They decided to, well, they didn't decide to. My husband and I helped them decide to start a business. They were sleeping in a little too much. They were 10 and 13 and sleeping in a little too much on the weekends. So we said, do you want more chores or do you want to start a business? And they're like, business. So they ended up in 9 months actually selling over $100,000.
Wow.
10 and 13-year-old. My 13 was in junior high. She would come home crying and just saying, Mom, I can't open up my locker. I'm so frustrated. And I said, honey, go look at your website. And she'd go look at her website, and it was like $4,000 in sales. I'm like, honey, you just made $4,000. Pay someone to open up your locker for you.
Oh, that's funny. So now I'm sure that you have like the people that are like, well, it's really easy for them to do it because their mom's already like figured it all out. Now I do believe in the process,
yep.
right? But so how much of it was like you teaching them and how much was them figuring it out?
Well, it's a system, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to do it. I didn't want to hold their hand the whole time. They did not sell on my e-commerce site. They had to go out there and they had to figure out how, like I said, okay, this is what you do. You need to do this and this and this. And then they had to go do it. And I said, and pick your plums off limits. I'm not going to let you use that site because that's not, it might not always be there, or I don't know, just go figure out a different way. And this is how I want you to do it. And they were super successful, right? They've already, if they decide to go to college, their college is paid for. Like they already have that ability to walk out of college debt free. Now, hopefully they'll get an education, not just a college degree like I did to qualify for stamps.
Right.
And then, so I said to my sister, I said, hey, will you try this process that my girls just went through? And she's like, sure. She ended up making $129,000 in 9 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can replicate this. And so then I met these, well, I've known them for a little while, Matt and Joe. They were selling a craft at a craft show and made $80. And they said, hey, you guys want to try this? And they're like, yeah, we'll try it, Allison, anything. We don't want to make $80 at a craft show. Joe just quit his job, and Matt's about to quit his job. They paid their cars off. They've paid rental properties off. They're about to pay off their own house. Like, it is seriously changing lives. And so after that, I kept going with more and more people. And then we launched the 0 to 100K course because I had proven that it was like you could replicate this. So the process, it's not the product, it's the process that works.
Right.
And if you do the process, then you can grow, 0 to 100K. Like, it is super possible.
For a minute there, I thought like we were going into an MLM pitch. I was like, okay.
I've never done an MLM.
No.
I've never done one.
It's like, and it's just like this. But you did. You figured out a pattern, right? And you've been able to help people do that. Now, you mentioned, obviously that's your secret sauce. And if people want to learn more about it, they go to 0-100k.com, right? And and I encourage people to go there. I'm probably gonna have my wife go sign up. But and a lot of what you talked about was like affiliates and bloggers and influencers. Is that a big part of your launch and growth strategies?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. People are huge, right? And connections and communities. Like, I'm such a big believer in communities. So you have your community of customers, right? And then you need your community of people that are going to support you in the business world. And you scratch each other's backs. And it doesn't cost to advertise, right? But you're still helping each other grow. And right. I believe in the abundance model versus a scarcity when you start growing your business.
Right.
There's so much out there. Why not help each other out?
Sure.
There's so much out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you skirted over it, and we don't need to go into depth on it if you don't want, but you skirted over that, when you handed off Pick Your Plum, it didn't go the way you wanted. What are some of the obstacles that you faced throughout your journey, and how'd you overcome them?
I think my biggest obstacle was trusting myself. I think that honestly, if I could go back and redo things, it would be to trust myself, trust my gut. Because I thought that I was a I didn't think. Because I was a junior high teacher, and then I would go talk to these smart business people, I thought they knew my business more than I did. I thought they could do better things than I could. When in actuality, no, I had the vision, right? And then when I started to feel like things weren't right, I should have fired them faster.
Sure.
And I didn't. And that's happened a few times. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. I have a hard head.
Right.
Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But I know it's so basic. And I wish I could say, it's, don't write with a black ink pen and you'll have success. Like, I wish it was that concrete.
Sure.
But it's not. You really have to listen to your gut and how you feel. And if something's off, it's off.
Yep.
It's off.
Don't wait. And I've heard that saying, hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
And I think that same principle is also like in partnerships and and really even in businesses. Like, I do believe in moving quickly, and I believe in ready, fire, aim, and I believe in that kind of stuff, but it's also like ready, fire, aim, not fire, ready, aim, right? Like, so there is still that patience of, like when to strike and when to make the move. But then once you know something, right, trusting yourself. And
Absolutely.
They say that the minute that you know a decision is right is the easiest that decision will ever be, but that we often still will put it off, thinking maybe it'll be easier when other circumstances change. But from that point forward, it only will be harder, right? So
yeah, that's a good thought.
Definitely something I've had to learn, have definitely burned time more than once. So what, do you believe like entrepreneurship is a path to freedom for many?
Oh my gosh. Heck yes.
Okay.
Heck
So
yes.
yeah. So I guess that's the angle I'm really taking, right? Is if we see entrepreneurship as a way to a better life for men, and they show that interest, I guess what I'm asking is then what do you encourage them to do as the first step?
To watch my masterclass.
Where do they do that?
Then I wanted to get them into the community.
Yeah.
Because when you start a business, there's a lot of questions, right?
Yeah.
And then you start your business, and then how do I take it to the next level? If you can get in a community that can help push you and drive, like answer your questions and work together, like your business is just going to grow. So that's why I put so much emphasis on my community, because we're all geeks about entrepreneurship, right?
Right.
And we have some people that are new, some people that are seasoned, and everybody needs support to be able to do this. And not only support to do it, but to help systematize it so it doesn't take over your entire life. Because as entrepreneurs, like, we can work 20 hours a day and be happy.
Right.
But if we can figure out how to systematize it so we're only working, 6 or 8, and then spend more time with our family, like, what are your tips? It just makes us stronger.
So I'm fully with you. Community is massive and incredibly important. I think one of the big mistakes early on in entrepreneurship that I took is I didn't find those communities, right? And so it's easy to feel like the loneliness of entrepreneurship. And it sounds like you've almost built your own communities to kind of solve that, not only for yourself, but for those that are taking their first steps.
Well, when I first started, I didn't have a community of entrepreneurs. I really felt alone. It was very lonely. My friends, they didn't understand why I was working 23 hours a day, sleeping on the warehouse floor.
Right.
They didn't understand it. It would have been nice to have a community of entrepreneurs that would say, hey, Allison, don't work 23 hours a day. Like, systematize it, and then help me walk through the process of my first hire. Because first hire is kind of scary, right? And then your first firing's hard too. Absolutely. And then what's the next step, and how do you grow your team, and how do you interview, and just to have a support. So you've got your community from your business, right? But then also to have a community of entrepreneurs, like, that's fabulous. I've learned that I missed out a lot. on my first little bit of starting my journey. And now I'm in amazing communities right now, and I count my blessings a lot for them. That's
awesome. So you've got something that I saw recently that I just really like the energy that you're putting into it. And it's fun to see, like, there's a group of friends of mine in there. You have the Because I Can clan.
Yes.
Want to tell me a little bit about that and what's going on there?
Yes. So honestly, when I started my 0 to 100K, I wanted something inspirational for people to, like, when you get to the top of a mountain, you want to stick your flag and it's got some glowing statement on it, right? I wanted something that people could feel empowered for. So we named it the Because I Can, and then clan is the family.
Sure.
So why can we start a business? Why can we travel and still make money, or sleep and still make money, like make money in our sleep, or go to Disneyland and make money? Because I can, because we can. And it empowers people. And then whenever anybody in my group we call it a clan win, I send them a clan t-shirt because it's exciting and we get to celebrate them.
Awesome.
Last week alone, we had 8 people have clan wins, which is so exciting. So I was writing notes and shipping them shirts, and they were so excited to get it, and they take pictures of themselves, put it up in the group, and everybody gets to celebrate them.
Right.
It does need to be celebrated.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
It's like our flag of freedom.
Absolutely. And I mean, you have, you're a serial entrepreneur, you've got your e-commerce stores, and you still have to pick your plum and how does she in 0-100K. If someone's just getting started, where do they go to learn more about you and maybe get started on their journey?
You can go to AlisonJPrince.com. It's going to be laid out nice if they want to go to the Because I Can clan, if they want to take the master course, if they want to see what businesses I have, where I've been featured, my daughter's story of how they, that's a really cool story.
Very cool.
My 10-year-old was in elementary, and she was out learning how to take pictures of her sister and editing and figuring out how to put them on a site and doing inventory on the weekends. And they were super excited about it. So it's got their story on there. Links to Facebook, YouTube. I started a YouTube channel. That's crazy. And just giving tips and tricks, and I'm still in e-commerce every single day. That I love it. It's not that I stopped e-commerce to sell a course. That's
right.
Not it. I'm so passionate about e-commerce that I keep doing it. And then then I go over and tell the group, I'm like, guys, we just sold $30,000 in 48 hours. Look how we did it. Or this week, I just got done editing a video, and it's going up of how to get free email subscribers, the best, easiest way to do it. And there's a little video of how we did it. And then there's a little bit of my family in there because I like people to know that I'm real.
Sure.
And I'll get on there and like I said, I won't have any makeup on. I'm in my pajamas, but I'm so excited about what just happened that I'm not a fashion blogger. I want people to make money. I want people to be successful.
Awesome. I could pick your brain and talk about your journey for hours. But I know that you've done some other podcasts recently, so I'll probably link to a few of those so people can go learn more about you. But I encourage everyone to check out AlisonJPrince.com. Now, I know that you've traveled a lot, but this is my question that I end with everyone. So business, and I know you agree with this, is about creating your lifestyle and not overcoming your lifestyle. And so what is one major item on your bucket list personally that you're going to do in the next 12 months?
Well, we're going to the Macy's Day Parade with my daughter. She is in the band in the Macy's Day Parade. And honestly, I'm excited to soak them in.
Cool.
We just got back from almost a 4-week trip to Thailand. We did a service trip over there. And to be with my family, I don't care where we are. We could just be sitting on the couch. I love being with my family. So my family is my bucket list.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show and juggling, I know, our schedules and everything like that. And so I encourage everyone to go check out AlisonJPrince.com. It is your turn to go out and do something.
Thank you for listening to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with Tyler Jorgensen. Please make sure to subscribe so you're first to hear new interviews and episodes. If you found this podcast to be valuable, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to visit our online dojo at bizninja.com to claim your reward for listening to the show.